and gentlemen, it's time to stir the pot with the Express Independent Thought with TJ, Cheryl, and Squirrel as they lead us into conversation on the Brew.
Oh, well, good evening. It's Thursday, July 3rd. Yeah, because tomorrow is the Independence Day, July 4th. So let's hope everybody has a good Independence Day, because I've been reading all day today. There's going to be a lot more protest. You know, no kings and all that kind of crap. So people forget what July 4th actually stands for. So let's hope it's a good day for everybody, that we can get out there and enjoy it and don't have to put up with any of the crap. That's kind of mood I'm in today. It's been a rough week for some people. We lost a really talented driver and talented singer-musician, Bill Weaver, so we want to send our condolences to his family, and it's going to be tough. He has such good music. We don't have any that we can play tonight, do we, John?
Bill Weaver music? I can't.
Yeah, Bill Weaver, yeah.
Can't do any of that.
Huh?
I can't play that on social media because it's copywritten.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's too bad, because he's really got some nice stuff out there. Cheryl is on her way down, and she's going through the mountains. And Lisa just sent me in, and she's going to try to come on in a little bit. She's just got home from being in the truck, and she's having some physical problems that are going on with her right now. So hopefully we'll have a chance to talk with her tonight. So it's going to be kind of a strange night, but there's just so much going on that it's really, really tough. And it's a good afternoon to Engine Hecko. How are you? How are you, hon? You can come on anytime and talk if you'd like. One of the things I want to talk about was that I thought was really kind of interesting today. AOC is finally being investigated, and I'm so happy to hear that. Hopefully something will come of it, because one of her interns, it was an illegal alien, and she's been telling people how to keep illegal aliens, and how aliens what they should do to avoid getting caught. I don't understand what the Democrats have with this. I get they want to think they're going to end up voting for them or whatever, but this is absolutely ridiculous. This is, most of our congressmen are lawyers, and they should know the law, and they should know this is against the law. And to keep encouraging this, I think our DOJ needs to step up and start really even arresting these people. Like Ilya Roman should be kicked out of Congress. First of all, blaming all white men in America are the problems, telling us that Somalia was a much better country than America, when she had to escape Somalia with her life, finally got to come to America, become a citizen, and now she hates our country and just wants to go back, thinking that America should be more like Somalia. Well, my thing is, you and your husband / brother can go back to Somalia at any time you want. No one's stopping you. Well, yeah, I think something's stopping us. All the millions of dollars that she's making off the American people, and the money she's still making off American people. And I guess we allow that. I want to make those millions. I should have ran for Congress. Free medical, all those perks.
Qualifications.
What?
You don't have the qualifications. You got to be a crook, a liar, and a thief. You just don't have the qualifications to be there.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. You don't have anyone that's honest in Congress?
Well, I'm fond of Rand Paul. I do like Rand Paul. There's a few people I like there. A lot of them I think are basically telling you what you want to hear to get
Yes,
those
I know.
votes. Well, there's two ways that you're going to influence Congress. One is through financial means. If you're funding them, you're telling them what you want and what to do. If you got the numbers when it comes to votes, if you can influence the votes, then you got their attention. If you don't have those two things, you're just nothing to them.
Yes, that is true. And that's the hard part. Because I was watching, even like you have the senator out of Pennsylvania. I can't think of his name. Just slipped my brain. Fetterman. He's been voting for a lot of the Republican bills because he thinks that's the way it should go. And that's how they all should be voting. Whether you're Republican or you're Democrat, you should vote with how you think your people and your constituency should, how they want you to vote. Like we have two female senators that, I just can't wait to vote them out. And I sent them letters, and how I got a letter telling me how they're standing up for women's rights. If you want to stand up for women's rights, you need to get rid of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood, all they do is encourage abortions to make money. It has nothing to do with a woman's right to have an abortion. Has nothing to do with that. It's just a money-making machine. And I'm sick of me having to pay for that. This is 2025. There's absolutely no need to have an abortion today. There's so much stuff. You can go into any pharmacy and there's going to be 20, 30, 40 different ways of birth controls that you don't even have to you can just buy something. $5. Save yourself $400, $500, $600. And I sent a letter off that this is what we're doing, and I sent them exactly how I felt, and I told them I will never vote Democrat again, ever. There's nothing that would warrant me to vote Democrat. And I used to be a diehard Democrat, but nope. And it wasn't just because of Trump. It's because I can see through the lies of the Democratic Party. And I think a lot of women have seen it. In fact, they're calling us Republican women that are Republicans. I guess we become doormats to what our husbands think. I guess for some reason, once you become a Republican and you're a woman, you automatically have lost your mind. So, oh, that was good. Do you hear that?
Well, the alarm went off.
That's our alarm system. Okay, that's enough, boys. Honestly. The little one didn't bark. She didn't start yet, but give her a chance. You know. I don't know what everybody's doing for the 4th. I know that we're going to go to a cookout, which we usually don't go to cookouts, but I guess we're going to try it this year. It's going to be different, huh, John?
Yeah. Oh, well, at least we know the people.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to crash, because then you get to meet other people. Not the people that, that you already know. Gotta tell you, I've been taking these new eye drops and my eyes are so itchy, it's driving me crazy. What else was going on today that I wanted to talk about? I wish I could share my screen here, but I can't for some reason. Oh, I wanted to give a shout out to Denise and Mike. They're having a great adventure. They took a road trip out to Montana and out that way, and they're visiting relatives and stuff. So I hope they're having a good time. That sounds like that would be a fun trip.
So, I saw an article somewhere that truck drivers' wages are dropping here in 2025.
Yep.
Saying there's an overabundance of truck drivers within the industry, and because there's
Yep.
too many drivers, that the value of drivers went down, and now I guess they're going to tell people that your worth is less. I mean, so you're getting your whopping 50 cents a mile or whatever, and now what? You worth 45? I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah, no kidding. I don't get it. I don't get why the truckers don't. Well, that's the sad part about truck drivers. They can't ever get together on something and do something all together. Somebody always has to be the big guy. Somebody always has to be in the lead. Somebody always has to know this or that. And they never get anything accomplished. I have seen this for so many years. Someone gets an idea, we're going to do this. The next thing you know, someone takes the idea, doesn't do the right thing by it.
Yeah. So from Yahoo Finance, I know that's a liberal leftist site, but they pretty much covered it the same way everybody else did. The rate of driver wage growth continued a downward trend in 2024 that pushed into the first quarter of this year as reduced demand for drivers could further suppress pay, according to a new industry report. And of course, that industry report is coming from the ATRI, or the American Transportation Research Institute, otherwise known as the American Trucking Association. So the ATRI is their research branch. After increasing by 10.8% in 2021 and 15.5% in 2022, driver wages increased by 7.6% in 2023 and 2.4% in 2024. The rate of driver wage growth is on track to decelerate further during 2025, ATR noted in its trucking industry cost analysis update released on Tuesday, which revealed that wages increased only by 0.9% during the first 2 months of 2025. Also, they were projecting that freight rates were supposed to climb this year, and I'm thinking that maybe that didn't happen.
Well, I saw that freight was just starting to pick up because China and Australia. Well, listen, we got all these new people that actually signed tariff deals. So, I thought freight was starting to pick up. I saw an article that it was picking up. So, I don't know why wages. Well, we all know why wages goes down. And I'm so sick of the ATA coming up with some of this crap. People always say, "Oh, they're so good." No, they're not. They donate most of their money to the politicians, so they can kind of figure out what they want, and they keep everybody else in line.
So let's see, the ATA, January 16th of this year, the latest edition of its annual freight forecast, American Trucking Association projects that after 2 years of decline, truck volumes are expected to grow 1.6% in 2025 and ultimately rise to nearly 14 billion tons by 2035. So yeah, they're projecting freight rate increases, but yet they're saying driver demands went down. I think with all these deportations and all this stuff going on, how is driver demand going down?
Well, let me tell you, I think driver demand is going down because they are losing. They're losing all the illegals, so their profit is going to go down.
You're not making sense to me.
Well, if you have all these, if you have all these illegals that are getting caught up, right? And let me think, if a trucking company, just say OTR, he's paying a driver, say 35 cents a mile. An American driver, 35, 40 cents a mile, that's it. Now, illegal, he's only going to have to pay 15 or 20 cents a mile. So when you start losing the illegals and you got to start paying an actual wage, not a decent wage, let's face it, because that sucks. You start doing that, you're going to have to... where's your profit? So to keep your profit the way it's been going with the illegals, you're going to start paying your American drivers less money.
Wow, I just got an AI overview on what the average, because I haven't been over the road in a very long time. I don't know what drivers pay for cents per mile, but it's telling me 45 to 85 cents per mile, but this can vary significantly based on experience, type of rate, and specific company.
Yeah.
45 cents per mile.
Yeah.
That was basically a starting rate, 42, I guess, back in 2010, 2011.
Wow.
15 years later, you're telling me it's the same?
Mm-hmm.
With all this inflation and bullshine? And it's still only 40. My God. And no wonder why these guys are starving.
Yeah. No wonder they have to work 5, 6, 7 weeks straight before they can go home. Because they can't make it if they don't. Right?
Indigo says that we need to repent to God as a nation. I'm inclined to believe that we've seen God under attack, or Christianity under attack here in the United States of America for at least 2 decades.
Yes.
Longer. And and we've seen a drift away from churches and God, and so separation of church and state thing doesn't mean separation of God and state, and they utilize that, and it really doesn't say it that way. It just says we shall not establish a national religion, but yeah, they really attacked God, attacked Christianity, attacked our morals. We've been under
Yeah.
moral decay for 2, 3 decades, longer, and people do. I mean, I've heard this from a number of people through the years. People need to come back to God. They need to come back to Christ. That's a thing. That's a true thing.
No, I think so too. I think they need to come back. I think it needs to stop being put out there that there's something wrong with you. I'm tired of the races of it. Look what they're doing to the Jewish people, and they're doing the same thing to Catholics. And what bothers me a lot too is that you're always hearing about how like if we how am I going to say that without being my thing is if I say like I didn't like Barack Obama, I'm automatically a racist. If I say if I'm against anything that the left is for, I am. Let me think. If I don't like the trans, if I don't like trans, if I don't like any of this stuff going on, if I'm against anything that's supposed to be morally right, if I'm for anything that's morally right, then I'm in the wrong. I mean, so many people are always in the wrong today. It's terrible, and it's just I don't get how the left is thinking. A lot of this stuff is more like. When I see these kids, these college kids out there, and they're saying, like, here's one. There was 3 college kids, and they're all dressed up in the LGBTQ clothes and the whole 9 yards, and they hold up a sign that Allah loves equality. Well, I guess you don't know too much about the Quran. I guess you don't know too much about what you're asking. Because if you are in another country and you are not, if you're an infidel and you bring up Allah, you will not be alive. That is not tolerated over there. But for some reason over here, if we bring up Jesus or something else, we're becoming like we're in the wrong. We're not supposed to be talking like that, but so I don't get it.
Yeah, according to the Quran, those who are infidels or don't believe are how is that? You're not. You're worth killing.
You're worth killing. You're not. Yes.
You're worth killing or enslaving.
And you can't bring up Allah. You can't talk like that because you're an infidel. So. I don't know. But over here, and I said, yeah, Obama is the Antichrist. I didn't think Obama was the Antichrist. I think in our government, I think he was a Muslim, and I think he believes in Sharia law. I think he believes in a lot of that. But for him to get into government, he had to hide himself. But it really came out when his wife decided to take a trip to Europe, and she took a whole contingent of 30 people with her on a dime. She didn't, like most presidents' wives, they'll go visit other presidents and their wives in their countries. She went and visited all the mosques all around the world. I'm thinking, oh, that's kind of a little telltale there. But the other thing is,
She or he?
well, that's right. I mean, we don't really know what Michelle Obama is. I mean, who was the comedian? She told us that Michelle was a man, and so many other people in Hollywood have said that Michelle was a man.
Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers, yeah. And she wasn't intended to be funny. And isn't it funny after she said that she ended up dead?
Yes, but it was almost funny the way she said it. 'Cause the way she put it out there was almost comedic in itself, even though she was being serious.
Yeah, she was serious, and it's funny. A lot of people that work for that worked for the Clintons ended up dead too. And we have a comment that she said, we have to repent to God as a nation for gay marriage. Well, I think the gay marriage, I mean, that is what it is. But what I really liked about the new Pope, he said a marriage, God recognizes a marriage between a man and a woman. So, about time. About time somebody starts standing up, you know.
Well, technically, that's what it is. I mean, a union would be, when two people
Yeah,
recognized by the state, right? The state can't marry people; the church marries people.
that's true.
So what else we got going on here? You got more something else on your list, or
Well, I just wanted to know, like, I know Michelle Obama has a podcast. I don't even know what she's such a nasty woman. She really is nasty, whether she's a man or a woman. She's just a nasty person. How ungrateful can you be? I mean, she lived in the White House. I mean, she goes, oh, we had to pay for things. Well, yeah, you have to pay for things. What do you think? You're not a king or a queen. I listened to a podcast one day. I think I could only listen to maybe not even 5 minutes. And she was so derogatory on her husband. I'm like, oh boy, this isn't going to work out too well. Unless her and Barack start getting together and stop their nitpicking at each other.
yeah.
It was awful.
So you know how they're always trying to take away gun rights.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Well, especially there's going to be another one coming up because they just had that big thing in Chicago, right?
Well, they did. What was it? Was it 4 people injured in Chicago?
Yeah, 4 people were killed. 16 were injured and 4 people were killed.
So you have 4 people killed in Chicago, while in Germany, a man believed to be armed with an axe has left 4 people injured after allegedly attacking passengers on board a high-speed train carrying 500 people in Germany. Officers said the incident took place on the ICE 91 train heading towards Vienna, Austria, at around 1:55 p.m. local time. So the attacker is believed to be Syrian, according to German newspaper Bild. The man
Yep.
was allegedly carrying an axe and a hammer.
Yep.
So, I mean, here we go again, right?
Uh-oh. Are we going to have to put away our axes and our hammers?
Well, only if you're in Germany. But yeah, you take away the guns, they're just going to pull out axes, hammers, knives, whatever. And that's what happened in UK is they took away firearms from people, and people started stabbing other people.
I
And
know.
remember that one kid in the school, he was stabbing people in the hallway while they were changing classes. It's like,
I
and he
know.
was rapidly doing. He was taking out a lot of people really quick.
I know. Well, what do you think now of the MS-13 gang member, the Kilmar Abrego Garcia? Now he's claiming, oh my God, he was severely beaten while he was in jail in El Salvador. I mean, they kicked him and, oh my God, he had to kneel down for 9 hours. And oh boy, he can't be sent back. He has to stay here.
My bleeding and aching heart. I wonder how those girls felt when they were being beaten into submission and trafficked.
I know.
Forced into prostitution, so somebody else can make a profit like him. I wonder how
know.
they felt. I wonder, maybe if he just got what he gave.
I'm really surprised that his wife, well, I guess some politicians must have got to his wife to say what a good family man he was. And the children miss him and all this bullshit. I mean, she's called the cops on him so many times for beating her up. But that's a good family man, I guess, from Maryland. I guess that's what you call a family man from Maryland, right? How about all the good fathers in Maryland now? Just got, it's like, got their faces in the dirt. Because of this idiot. And why do the politicians keep wanting him? Why do they keep coming to his rescue? I don't get that part. I really don't get that part.
Um, because they're bought. When we were interviewing Eddie, who spent time in prison, and said he had, I think we talked about this last week, and he had to read letters to these prisoners. And what he discovered while he was translating these letters that were coded letters is that many people in these gangs, these MS-13 gangs and other gangs, well, they pay for some of our congressmen. They pay for their campaigns, or they buy them houses and stuff. And they got pretty elaborate schemes where they have notaries, and they have their own banking system and everything, where they can run everything through their own in-house, and make it look like this person bought a house. And truth of the matter is, they're just giving it to them. I mean, some of
Yeah.
our politicians are bought and sold. There was a study in 2010 that not a study. There was a hearing, a congressional hearing, a senatorial hearing on the influence gangs have on officials in the United States. And I think a lot of it was, I didn't get into the details of it. You haven't got that deep into it, but I think they were looking at a lot of border patrol agents and things like that were being bought by MS-13 gangs or whatever down there in Mexico and South America, so they can get across the border unabated, so they can get their drugs through unabated, so they weren't being hindered.
Jeez.
You know, we have seen times, and they don't like to talk about this in the media. They suppress this information. But there were times when they were in helicopters using military grade weapons shooting at Border Patrol agents. That's an
Yep.
act of war.
I know. Oh, I know. I know. But nothing gets done about it. That's why, I'm really upset that, I mean, I don't care about the Epstein case. I mean, it is what it is. Okay. I mean, we're never going to get to the bottom of that. There's so much to go through. It's going to take years to go through that because of all the people that they can't bring their names out. They can't do this. They can't do that. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, I get that part. Okay. So, but what about right now? What about these politicians that are inciting violence against America? Look at Herman Jeffries, the things that he says about America, or some of these other people are out there, like, I can't think of who that person. Oh my God, I can't think of that person was. This is awful, but he's out there saying that countries should start sanctioning. He's an American. He's that countries should start sanctioning America, put sanctions on us. I'm like, you live in this country. Why would you even say something like that? I mean, if these people are so unhappy with America, get the hell out. Go
Are you
somewhere
talking
else
about
where you're going to be
politicians?
happy. You know?
Are you saying politicians were saying all these things?
Yeah, this was on a talk show. It was a politician on a talk show.
Yeah, here again, let's run down the United States. Man, they've been spending decades running down the United
I
States.
know. Then get out.
It's
And I have to
self-loathing
tell.
thing is disgusting. And here again, it's all about change. Okay. Do you believe in hope and change? You believe in hope and change? You want hope and change? Hope and change, everybody. We got hope and change. Um, that's exactly what it was about from the beginning, was change, but not change for the better for you and me. It was about communism. It was about socialism. It was about controls over you and me.
Yeah.
When you have say insurance, health insurance, when it's privately run, these people got to run it at their risk. The government's role should be mediators in it, to make sure
Yeah.
things are fair for the people and they're not being
Yeah.
gouged or mistreated by these corporations. But when the government runs it, then you got no mediator left. The government's both the one managing it and the mediator. Therefore, there is no mediator. You see what I'm saying?
I know.
And that's the problem with socialism. Government controlled business or government run business means there's nobody to monitor that business.
That's right.
So that's why socialism always fails. It becomes corrupt. We've already got issues of corruption in this country. Back in the 1800s, when they were doing the Western expansion with the railroads and stuff,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were giving out grant money, and this was like what USAID was back then, what
Yeah.
USAID is today, and they were giving out grant money, and people were just raping the government out of money. They were just claiming this money left and right. The corruption was so bad; it was being investigated. It got so deep that they realized they can't prosecute all these people. It'd be overwhelming. It would just overwhelm the system. They don't have the funds to prosecute. They don't have the means to prosecute. They just swept everything under the carpet because it was that bad. And that's what you're seeing in the United States today with things like USA. Sure, Doge uncovered it, but is it going to get fixed? Is anybody going to be prosecuted? It's the corruption is so bad. The answer to that is no. Once again, it'll get swept under the carpet and it'll recycle and start all over again.
Yeah, that is true. It doesn't stop. I don't understand why AOC, Jasmine Crockett, why haven't they I know we have freedom of speech, but when freedom of speech enacts violence, incites violence, is that still freedom of speech?
No. Nope, freedom of speech stops anytime. So freedom of speech is for the purpose of freedom of speech. If you're going to use it for educational purposes, if you're going to have a peaceful assembly, like you can talk about socialism, you can talk about communism, you can talk about anything you want to talk about for the most part. That's well and fine. But anytime you use speech to weaponize, then it's no longer speech. It's for a different purpose. So you don't get to have freedom of speech so you can create riots in the street. You don't get to have freedom of speech by yelling fire in the airport and scaring the hell or bomb or whatever and scaring the hell out of people and terrorizing people. You can't
Yeah.
use it for criminal nefarious reasons. It's the same thing with guns, right? I have a legal right to keep and bear arms. We all do. We have a constitutional right. It's God given, which is protected under the U.S. Constitution, which is commonly violated. But Supreme Court many years ago, with people like what was their name, Ginsburg, wanted to claim that these constitutional rights are collective. Therefore, when society is acting badly, or members of society is acting badly, they can infringe upon them. Fact of the matter is, SCOTUS ruled no, they are individual rights. So as long as I'm acting appropriately with my firearms and I'm using them as I should be using them, I don't lose my constitutional right to keep and bear arms. But if my neighbor acts like a jackass and goes commits an act of armed robbery, guess what? He sacrifices his. He forfeits
Yes.
his because he couldn't act with he couldn't control himself with that kind of responsibility. So yeah, and our forefathers talked about this. They talked about having responsibility with your constitutional rights. You know, people like Howard Stern being on the radio in a public format and
Yeah.
running off, getting foul at the mouth, describing sexual activities and illicit, verbiage and swearing and cursing and acting inappropriately.
Yeah.
That's irresponsible behavior with your freedom of speech. These are the people who risk your constitutional rights because they want to crack it down on them. When you're not raising your children. Your children are misbehaving, robbing people. When you're hearing things like, "Oh well, my kid shouldn't have got shot and killed because they were committing an act of armed robbery, threatening somebody's life with a gun." Okay, so this is what's threatening our rights as a society.
That's right.
Not that your rights are collective, but SCOTUS will start looking at things differently, and they have. Members of the Supreme Court have actually said we may have to go back and revisit parental rights because in the past they've ruled that parental rights is a thing that you have a right as a parent to control your child's health, your child's well-being, your child's any way you raise your child, to prevent indoctrination from schools and stuff like that. You're there. You have the right to oversee your child's education. Everything about your child is your responsibility, not the government's, not the schools, not the Board of Education. It's your responsibility.
Oh, wait a minute now. The teachers' unions actually tell you that they're smarter than you. They are in charge of your children. You are not.
I've listened to Weingarten talk. Believe me, they're not smarter than you.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, but now a while back ago, of course, it'd be a liberal leftist judge, justice, but she was making a statement. We may have to revisit parental rights because in this day and age, the way children are being raised at home, it may become a state responsibility.
Well, isn't that the scariest thing ever?
This is
People
what
better
happens
wake
when
up
we-
because
when we
that's
don't
pretty
take care of
scary.
and Indigo said it earlier. When we had churches, when people went to church, they become like-minded in God and Christ. We supported one another. We created congregations by going to church. And if you were acting up, somebody would say, "Hey, man, I saw you out in public the other day. What were you doing? What were you thinking?" You challenge each other that way. We kind of like sharpen each other up a little bit. We kept each other in line, but when we started breaking away from God, when we started breaking away from church, we lost that. We lost our
Yes.
social construct. We lost our contact. We lost our support groups, and we become more subject to moral decay. And you're seeing it in the cities all the time. You're seeing more casinos going up. You're seeing more law proposals about prostitution, legalized drugs. Um, the list just goes on and on. They're fighting people because they want to make it so that you have to prove you're an adult before you can visit an X-rated site. And they're saying, well, you can't do that. That's against our constitutional right. It's like, if it causes harm to a child, maybe not.
I know. That is true. Something that just came across my news thing was once again, a judge orders the government to stop making public comments on the Kilmer Ariel Grace Garcia's case because the defense lawyer saying contending that the government's denying their client his right to a fair trial by repeatedly trashing him in the media. Yeah, and here's this woman, this white woman, is standing outside the courthouse with a big picture of him, like, free him. What is wrong with these women? I don't get it. He beat up his wife. She had restraining orders because he's an awful person. But let's get a picture and say, yeah, we want this guy to stay here. He's a good father.
So the psychological studies many years ago have shown that abused people will protect their abusers.
I guess so. That is true.
Here's one for you. Speaking of since gangs like that Abrigo Garcia belonged to, the FBI is now warning. FBI DHS warn of July 4th terror threats. Federal officials are warning of lone wolves who pose the biggest terror threat to the 4th of July celebrations amid tensions between the United States and the Middle East. Tensions escalated on June 22nd when the U.S. military bombed 3 key nuclear sites in Iran, according to Trump administration officials. So when you're going to parades tomorrow, you need to keep your head on a swivel. It's not that you shouldn't go out and have a good time, but be aware of your surroundings. And we've talked about this in the past, and it's not just because of what Trump did. I mean, they bring that up, and that increases the possibility, I'm sure. But we've been seeing things with Palestine and a lot of tensions going around in colleges and education facilities where people have been getting attacked. Jewish people are feeling threatened, like their lives were at threat, and I mean, so it's already been starting. It's already been building. It's just now it's more heightened.
That is true. It's terrible. Well, the other thing that I wanted to tell you, what I thought was really funny, Massachusetts being the first in the nation. You know what I mean? Well, a lot of things started in Boston. It was like the first of a lot of things. The American Revolution and all of that. And
I want to point out that the first revolt actually happened here in New Hampshire, right over the pine tree.
The which one?
The pine tree. What was it called? The Pine Tree Rebellion. What was that called? Where?
The Pine Tree Rebellion. But there was a flag that we all saw growing up, and now they're all having a big shit fit about it because, believe it or not, Democrat Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts, he accused the federal agency of raising a Christian nationalist white supremacist flag. Of all people, he should know what this flag really meant. The SBA flew a large American flag and a smaller one, and it says "Appeal to Heaven." Flag at its headquarters. They knew the American flag, and the smaller one was "Appeal to Heaven." On this headquarters on June 11th, on Flag Day. Not a big deal, we thought, right? The white flag, it features a green pine tree, dates back to the Revolutionary War, and the words on "An Appeal to Heaven" describes the hopes of the colonists that God would deliver them from the British tyranny. Today, the Flag Day ceremony, we are proud to raise an American-made flag over, and that's what this was their whole thing about. And here's Markey, who doesn't even know what the flag actually meant. I mean, now you're a friggin' senator from Massachusetts. You should know what that flag meant. All of us growing up in New Hampshire and Mass, in Maine, Vermont, we all know what that flag stands for. But here's stupid Markey getting on the leftist bandwagon and telling it's a symbol of white supremacy and Christian nationalism. What a jerk. I mean, I just can't believe that.
But that's the, and here you go. So this is a liberal left
Yes, once again.
platform, and this is the basis they create, that anything that has to do with patriotism for the United States of America has to do with racism. There's no real connection. You can't make a connection that patriotism for the United States of America is racism. But all these things about the Revolutionary War, whether it's don't tread the Gadsden flag, don't tread on me, or the Appeal to Heaven flag, what are the other
Well,
ones? There's so many of them. I mean, that
I know.
it suddenly becomes racist. There's no
Well,
racist
I just like this thing because Lafayette, another Democrat, put him in his place about his own flag and the history of the flag and where it came from. And she says to him, well, I appreciate your letter. I'm surprised at your passion over this matter, given your typically nonchalant observation of Flag Day, which includes a history of you leaving your own American flag lying outside on the ground in violation of the U.S. flag code. I mean, she said, she assured him that the agency would never consider disrespecting the United States flag or its service members in this manner. And then she reminded the senator what the flag meaning, and sometimes, I mean, she just let him have it. I mean, this is just so awful. I mean, I'm sick of this, of the whole thing. It's not a racist flag. It's all it symboled was what the people at that time was about. And it's not about the slaughter or genocide of the Native Americans. It had nothing to do with any of that. I don't get what these leftists come up with all this crap.
They make it up.
I know they do.
There's an old saying: if
I know.
you lie enough times, people will believe it. And
I know.
what they attempt to do is regurgitate their falsehoods, so that eventually you'll start believing those falsehoods, and it actually works. I see a lot of people that will be talking against the left, but how they word it actually favors the left because they're using their language. If that makes
She
sense.
really, yeah, Lafayette, this Democrat, she really let him have it. She also mocked the Democrat for attacking a flag with historical significance while flying the pro-LGBTQ flag, Progress Flight, outside his office. She called the flag a decisive symbol designed to honor only select subgroups, which is in contrary to our shared responsibility to serve every American, but affirmed his right to fly a flag. And then she says, she said we shouldn't be concerned about this stuff, requesting that the senator focus on topics that are serious importance to American small business, such as, what was that? Passing tax cuts and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, yeah, I was so glad that she got him because I could never stand Senator Markey.
Yeah.
Even when I lived in Massachusetts, I never voted for him.
What? You lived in Massachusetts?
Yes, I did. I did live in Massachusetts, and I lived in Maine. I've lived in Vermont. Never lived in Connecticut or Rhode Island. Never went to the Cinnamon State or the Quahog State.
I drive through Massachusetts all day, every day, and I see a lot of Trump supporters down there. You'd be
Oh, yeah.
surprised at the stuff I find for Trump signs and Trump supporters. There's so many conservatives down there. It's just, they don't usually stand out because the liberals. It's funny because you never see the Joe Biden signs. I've been all the way down to
I know.
Boston and maybe see one Joe Biden sign staked out in front of somebody's yard, right?
Well, I still want to know how Healy got in and how some of these people in Massachusetts got in. Look at Senator Warren. Who the hell keeps voting that idiot in?
Warren? They'll cheat for the presidency. They'll cheat for the Senate, too.
I guess, because she's crazy. That woman's nuts. And I really think there should be another amendment to our Constitution that you have to be an American-born citizen to represent us as a senator or a congressman.
I always wondered about our forefathers why they didn't include that. I don't know if that had to do with the time because at the time, a lot of people were still migrating into the country and
Yeah, I
stuff.
know. Yeah.
Maybe they didn't think of it like we do today because people, when they were coming here for the right reasons. They wanted to be part of what we are. They didn't want to go like, let's face it, Ilmar is only here for Somalia, and she's as much as said so. As
Yes.
long as she has a place in the Senate, Somalia will be protected, and she'll work in their best interest. She's not here for the United States. She's not here to take part in this great project or this
Well, she
experiment.
thinks white men are evil, and they're the cause
What?
of all the problems in America. So,
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yep. I'm evil. I'm white.
yeah, I mean, that's the problem today. It's all about if you're white, you're the problem, and like this is like absolutely ridiculous. It's just getting to be ridiculous, and then the LGBTQ A plus B whatever. I could care less about all those other letters because none of them matter. They're trying to, and it would have been smarter if they just went to the LBQ, lesbians, bis, and gays, and get rid of all the other crap because it gives the other people a bad name. And I read an article where these two men beat up a gay man because they were absolutely positive that because he was gay, he was a child molester. And
It's not him.
I know it's really it's kind of sad that that's happening again
Yeah, it's messed up.
because not all most gay men aren't bothered with kids.
The thing about this is it's just time to be American again. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter your
exactly.
skin color, and it doesn't matter your
Exactly.
gender, and it doesn't matter your affiliation or association, whatever you want to call it, sexual
Yeah, sexual
orientation.
preference. Yeah,
That's something you can keep to yourself. There's no
exactly.
prerequisite that when you walk up to me, you go, yeah, hey, my name's Joe. I'm a homosexual, and I just want to let you know. I don't need to know that.
I
Nobody
don't
needs
either.
to
I
know
could
that
care
up front.
less. Yeah,
That sounds like a personal thing to me.
it is a personal thing.
I know. I
But
don't
I
walk up
hate to
people
see
and go,
I
my
hate
name's
to see gay
John. I'm
bashing
heterosexual.
again because of this stuff.
Do what?
I hate to see gay bashing again. I don't want to see that again.
That's not fair or just.
No, it's not. You know. And I hate to see the cop bashing because when you really need help, you need that cop. You know.
Yeah, they illustrated that in a
And you notice these congressmen and senators that said, "Oh no, let's defund them." Why do they all have private security? That's what I'd like to know.
You mean armed private security
Yes,
with firearms?
yes. Jasmine
Guns?
Crockett, Ilya Roman, Talib, they all have security. They all have security detail. And Talib, wasn't it Talib who got in trouble because she was paying her boyfriend or some company, her boyfriend's company for her security?
Oh, I don't recall.
Yeah, so it was one of them,
I
anyways.
remember something about this, but I don't recall.
Yeah, it was one of
It
them,
had to
and
do with using campaign finances for
yeah.
misappropriation of funds.
So that's it makes it kind of hard. So I mean, there's just so much going on out there today for people, and I think people are just getting really stressed out between social media or you're always on trying to make a living. You can't make a living. Something always happens, and people are really stressed out, and they spend a lot of time on their cell phones. We're all guilty of that, and you just start zoning out. You start getting, your brain starts to go foggy all the time. You just got too much going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to find your sleep thing here.
Yeah. Was it Talib? That was it. That was.
Well,
Who was the other one?
Investigation with the House Ethics Committee in 2019 over a
Yeah.
2018 campaign, and trying to see what she did wrong here.
Well, I want to know
I
how
need a
come
circuit
AOC
board
never
charger.
has to show us her profile.
Yeah, last time I checked her because everybody keeps talking about the money she's made, so I tried to look up at
Yeah,
her mandated required financial disclosures that they're supposed to do once a year for to Congress or in Congress,
yeah.
and she opts not to disclose any of her finances. Instead, she'd just rather pay the $250 fine. I
Well,
haven't
that
looked in
should
a
be a
long
wake
time, so
up
I don't know if
call.
she's still doing that.
And her constituents put up with that.
Yeah, apparently they don't care.
Wow, maybe that, John, they probably don't know.
Yeah,
That's the
Tracy, a
problem.
lot of people look. Parties are factions, okay? Parties don't really represent you. They're a faction that represents itself, its agenda, its ideology, and what it intends to do and accomplish. Members of this faction, as a political party, make the agenda. You, as a voter, is expected to fit into a mold you otherwise wouldn't really fit into. Nobody really agrees with their party. Look at this bogus bill they just passed that Trump's going to sign. It's a garbage bill. It really is. It didn't fulfill the promises that Trump made that it was supposed to. It kind of bent that. Like the no taxes on tips. Everybody was under the impression that waiters and waitresses wouldn't get taxed. No,
Yeah,
only 10 grand, 12 grand doesn't get taxed. The rest of it you're gonna have to pay money on.
yeah, I know.
Same thing with what was the other one? It wasn't just tips, but there was another thing. Oh, it escapes me. But it's limited on that too. It's got a cap. So I think your child taxes and stuff like that might not be affected, but a lot of these things are, and they got sunset provisions on them, so they'll time out after a few years. I think by the end of the Trump campaign, anyway. Um, I just think it's a big, beautiful disappointment.
Yeah, I
They
know.
raised the debt ceiling. We're
Yep.
definitely spending another $3.5 trillion over the next 10 years or so, and it's just look. We need a budget. It's time now to stop doing these resolutions to extend budgets and make these small adjustments and tweak in this budget. It's time to actually sit down and figure out a budget. What does this country take in? What can this country afford to spend? And what do we prioritize it to spend it on? What can we cut that's not absolutely necessary because we don't have enough money to cover everything? So instead of deficit spending all the time and burying this country for generations to come, if it ever gets out of debt now,
I
um,
know.
we need a pathway out, and we haven't found one yet. We haven't got people in office that are willing to really put forth the good work and the effort into it to figure out how they're going to right this country.
I don't
That's
know.
the truth. We got a bunch of losers in DC right now that can't get their heads out of the proverbial hind end and fix things. Instead, it's always a little band-aid here and always a little band-aid there, padding their pockets all along the way and making sure their little buddies get the contracts or the agreements or whatever it is that they're getting.
Yeah,
The left isn't wrong when they're talking about the advantages corporations have in government. The FMCSA is a captured agency. I'm certain of it.
I know.
The ATA's got them by the nose ring. The
Yep.
TIA's got them by the nose ring.
Yep.
All these large corporate trucking companies have got them by the nose ring. Us little guys go in there and try to talk to them, and they'll yes us to death. And as soon as we walk out the office, they're tearing up whatever it is we gave them for
Yep.
information and discard it and said, them guys ain't getting nothing.
That's how it is with a lot of factions today. And people don't understand that part. They
Yeah.
keep us focused on stupid stuff like transgender and all that crap, bringing that to the focus and doing this with our kids and making them all mindless idiots. So they don't have to see what's going on and how things are going to give up. But you know something? It is 6:59. I guess we're going to have to wrap it up. And hopefully we'll have our ladies in next week. And we'll be trying something different.
If you don't, you're
So
stuck with me.
huh?
I said, if you don't have the ladies next week, you're stuck with me.
Well, we'll have some other ladies. I think Patty's coming back from California, and We have a woman who's a constitutionalist who said she'd love to come on and talk with us, so that would be a fun time. But everybody have a great 4th of July. Have a great week. Don't get into too much trouble and stay cool. Over now. Good night.